Hi, my name is Danny. I spent 3 years of my life in the United States Marine Corps from 1980 to 1983. My MOS was 0341, which made me 81 millimeter mortarman. And I spent 3 years started Parris Island, went to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. I deployed from there 3 times. We also did an emergency evacuation of Guantanamo Bay while we were down there in 1981, I believe. Then we came back and deployed again to what they call the Westpac. It was in Okinawa, Japan. Even though it wasn't combat, there was some serious shit that went. You know what I mean? We were in the mountains of Korea, and it was freezing cold. Every day we'd have to march, 25 or 30 miles up and down these hills, and then you'd stop and have a break and then keep going. And they were actually tying kids to the back of the Jeeps, and if they fell down, they'd let them drag and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It was like, not me. I didn't have any problem with it. I mean, they wouldn't have dragged them forever, but it was too embarrassing them, and they were trying to do what they thought was right, but in my mind, it wasn't. When I came home, it was different. You know what I mean? And the people that I hung out with all my life had changed somewhat. They hung in different places. There was still the core group of people, but it wasn't. They were doing different things at different places with other different people. And the most I had ever done was I smoked marijuana, and I drank a bit. And when I got out, the big thing on the scene at the time was cocaine. And I didn't want to touch it, wanted nothing to do with it, but I didn't see anything wrong making money off of it. And then one night I tried it. And that was the biggest mistake of my life, to be honest with you. Because after that, it wasn't green to me, long as it was white. I had a job. I got on the phone company, climbing poles. They have what they call an EAP, Employee Assistance Program. So this is before I was even married. The first time I had a problem when I wasn't going, I wasn't showing up for work. Instead of firing me, they said, "Look, kid, you need to get into some kind of rehab thing." So I did. I went downtown to the main building downtown Boston, and they set me up with they had a thing in house. It was like a 2-week program. I think there was like 20 people in the class, and it was like meetings every day, group therapy, watching films, discussions, roundtable discussions, and stuff like that. I went through that program for 2 weeks. It helped a bit, but it wasn't long before I was back into the same foolishness. I went to the place downtown Boston, the New England Shelter Homeless Veterans. They had a lot of programs. They have a lot of good programs too. They have training programs. They have help for substance abuse and stuff like that. And I also, when I was going through my divorce, I went to counseling on my own, like a once a week type of thing for an hour. And my 3 kids, when we started to get divorced, it was 96, 97. One of them was an infant, and the other 2 were 3 and 4 at the most. And she went home to her father, and I was on my own. And every time they'd call, there was a crisis. And the woman that I went to for counseling said, "You have to be able to hang up the phone. You can't get involved in the craziness and you know what I mean, and get tied into it." And it was a hard thing to do. It really was. It took me 7 years, and it cost me close to $30,000. But I got custody of all 3 of my kids. You know what I mean? It was the hardest thing I ever did, but it was well worth it. You know what I mean? And that was a tough. And I stayed sober for probably 2 years while I was fighting I didn't have one drink, nothing. I still have a couple of drinks now and then, but I don't touch the other stuff, and I drink very rarely. You got to be able to talk about stuff with somebody you can trust. You know what I mean? And I think you have those people at the VA. I think you really do. That there should be, if you're feeling depressed or low, or thinking bad thoughts, you need to talk to somebody, whether it's a friend or a family member or somebody there. But you have to be able to verbalize it.